A few years ago, I had tea with a Japanese man, Toyoyusu Kopataki. He's now in his 80s, but 70 years ago, he was a 16-year-old student on his way to high school when the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. 90,000 people perished immediately, and the city was reduced to 5 square miles of burning rubble. In the weeks that followed, a further 90,000 died from their injuries, the burns and radiation sickness. 3 months earlier, Germany had surrendered, and now it looked like war would end in the Far East. So for this 9-year-old, it was good news. It meant my father would be coming home. But for Toyoyusu Kobataki, it was a very different story, though a remarkable one nevertheless. The blast injured him, and worse still, he suffered multiple first-degree burns. He was so badly burned that his mother barely recognised him when he eventually found his way home that evening. There were no doctors, and she didn't know quite what to do. So she doused him with cucumber juice. She always had a jar in the kitchen in case of burns. Eventually, after repeated treatments, the juice ran out. So she went to the fields, gathered cucumbers, and grated them over him. She repeated this treatment, and eventually he recovered. After the war, he continued his education and became an engineer. He married and raised a family, but never told them about his ordeal all those years ago, not until he retired. His daughter, Toshiko, wrote his story and gave a copy to the Imperial War Museum, which is where I saw it. At that time, I was making large sculptural panels dedicated to the millions of innocent victims of conflict in World War II. One of the panels was called Hiroshima, arranged for me to meet her father on a visit he made to London, and had a long and interesting conversation with him, during which he revealed that amazingly, to this day, as a result of his mother's cucumber juice, he hasn't a single scar on his body. Eventually, I plucked up the courage to ask him how he felt now about the events all those years ago that happened to him and many thousands of others. He thought for a moment, and then he said, "War itself is our real enemy."